All right, let's get into it. We are breaking down this absolutely pivotal 3-episode arc from Nickville Season 25. We're going to look at all the drama, the fights, and yeah, the surprisingly sweet moments that really defined this whole stretch in Nickville.
So, what connects a dark prank, an online argument, and a sick jellyfish? I know, it sounds like the beginning of a really weird joke, right? But believe it or not, these three things are completely connected. They tell one big story about friendship, consequences, and what it really means to show up for people.
So let's kick things off with episode 14. The scene is Sheriff Toadster's house, it's late, and what starts as a pretty simple prank is about to get way out of hand. We're talking handcuffs level out of hand.
And what's wild is how fast this all escalates. The whole episode really happens in these 3 beats. A scare that goes just a little too far, a big confrontation about who's responsible, and then a pretty shocking arrest that honestly sets a whole new precedent in Nickville.
It all starts with what Toadster himself calls a proper moment of darkness and drama. He kills the lights, shines his flashlight on Toucan, just thinking it's all in good fun. But he completely reads the room wrong, especially when a kid gets caught right in the middle of it.
And this, right here, this is the turning point. A little girl, Elodie, just comes sprinting in and she is terrified by the dark. Jumbo Josh immediately steps up, and his words just change the entire vibe. This isn't a joke anymore. This is about making someone in the community feel truly afraid.
So here's the takeaway. In Nickville, your actions have real consequences. The cops show up, and Sheriff Toadster gets arrested, not just for a prank, but for creating a public fear hazard. It's this huge reminder that it's not about what you meant to do, it's about the impact you actually had on other people. Okay, so from there, we pivot in the next episode. We go from a physical conflict to a totally digital one. This is the story of 2 old buddies, Jumbo Josh and Stinger Flynn, getting into it over something that seems so small, an unthanked comment. And again, the structure here is super clear. It all starts with something so simple, an act of support, right? Jumbo Josh leaves a nice comment on one of Stinger Flynn's new videos. But when he gets ignored, it sparks this whole argument that ends, well, with a pretty unique challenge. And here we get Stinger Flynn's side of things. He basically thinks Josh is blowing this way out of proportion. For him, social media is about creating stuff for the vibes, not getting stuck in what he calls a validation parade. He just thinks life's too short for comment duty. This slide just lays it all out perfectly. These are 2 totally opposite ways of looking at the world. For Josh, a simple thank you is basic internet manners. It's the glue holding things together. For Flynn, it's just a waste of time that gets in the way of his real work. It's that classic battle of principle versus practicality. And this is where it gets really creative. They don't really solve their disagreement. Instead, they just call a truce and decide to settle it with an edit battle. The loser has to publicly thank the winner. So now, their private argument is going to become a very public competition. All right, on to the final piece of this puzzle, episode 16. Right after their huge fight, Stinger Flynn gets super sick. And this episode, man, it shows us what their friendship is really all about. It proves their bond is way deeper than some online argument. The story here is simple, but it is so powerful. Flynn is so sick, he can't even make it up his own stairs. So who does he call? The one guy he was just fighting with. And what happens next is this rescue mission that's full of complaining, tough love, and in the end, a moment of messy but very real gratitude. This quote is it's pure Jumbo Josh. He's annoyed, he's swearing, he's insulting Flynn, but look at what he's actually doing. He doesn't even hesitate. He just says, "I'm coming over." It just goes to show when his friend really, truly needs him, he is there, no questions asked. And this is the reality of their friendship. It's not always pretty or polite. I mean, Flynn literally gets sick on the stairs, and Josh is furious. But he doesn't bail. He gets his friend into bed first, then he yells at him to clean it up tomorrow. I mean, that is tough love in action right there. And after all that, Flynn gives him this really sincere thank you. It's like this moment of total clarity for both of them. They can argue about internet etiquette all day long, but when push comes to shove, they've got each other's backs. This one little line pretty much fixes all the damage from their last fight. Okay, so let's connect all these dots. We've seen a prank, a digital beef, and a sick day rescue. Taken separately, they're just fun little stories. But when you put them all together, they paint a really clear picture of the values that kind of run the world of Nickville. When you look at all these themes together, you see the bigger picture. Sheriff Toaster learned that actions have consequences. Period. Josh and Flynn reminded us that friendship is super messy and complicated, but that tough love is absolutely still love. And threaded through all of it is this idea that community rules matter, whether that means not scaring kids or just taking 2 seconds to say thank you.
So this whole arc really leaves us with a big question. It kind of forces you to think about your own life, you know? In a world that's so full of digital arguments and casual little pranks, how do you actually show up for your friends when it really matters? What does that true friendship look like when you log off the screen? Definitely something to think about.